Good morning, everyone. I know we're halfway through the week, but we can sound a little bit better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, well, it's good to see each and every one of you this morning. My name is DeJuan Hogard. I'm from ABC 11 Eyewitness News, and it is my honor to be your Master of Ceremonies for the 2025 Governor's Awards for Excellence. Now, these awards that we'll hear from today, they represent the highest honor of a state employee that they may receive for dedicated service to the state of North Carolina and its people. We are honoring 6 individuals today and 3 groups this year for a total of 22 exceptional public servants, and each of these individuals represents what it means to go above and beyond to make our state a safer, stronger place. So today we will learn more about their contributions to the great state of North Carolina. Now, the Governor's Awards for Excellence program was created back in 1982 to acknowledge state employees for their outstanding accomplishments beyond the scope of their normal duties. State employees are nominated for the award by their supervisors as well as their coworkers. And this year, a total of 371 nominations were submitted from agencies and universities across our state. Now, before we introduce our speakers for this morning, it is my pleasure to welcome the Department of Adult Corrections Honor Guard. They will be presenting the colors. Their names: Captain Brian Davis, Lieutenant Deborah Hinton, Ariana Tropez, Jose Martinez, and Natasha Harris. It is also a privilege to welcome Catherine Harrington from the Department of Adult Correction to sing the Star-Spangled Banner. If you're able to, please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, thank you once again to our North Carolina Honor Guard, and again to Ms. Harrington for that beautiful Star-Spangled Banner. Now, before we meet today's honorees, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the distinguished leaders who've joined us on stage to celebrate these dedicated individuals this morning. And I'd only ask that you hold your applause after I finish all of these names to give everyone their proper respect. We have State Human Resources Director Stacey Meyer, Office of the Governor, Chief of Staff Seth Dearman, State Employees Credit Foundation Board Chair Chris Ayers, North Carolina State University University Chancellor Kevin Howell, Department of Public Safety Secretary Eddie Buffalo, UNC System Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs Dr. David English, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources Secretary Pamela Cashwell, State Bureau of Investigation Chief of Staff Brent Culbertson, Department of Transportation Western Deputy Chief Engineer Brett Knipp, State Highway Patrol Commander Colonel Freddie Johnson Jr., and Wildlife Resources Commission Executive Director Kyle Briggs. And please go ahead, sit down, sit down. You don't have to stand up the whole time. Yeah. Well, we are grateful for the continued support of the State Employees Credit Union Foundation, which generously provides grants and grant funding to make this program possible. The SECU Foundation believes in making a positive change across our state through community development. Now, next, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce Chris Ayers, the chair of the Foundation's Board of Directors. He has served on the SECU and SECU Foundation Boards of Directors since 2016. Chris is a Rutherfordton native and the executive director of the North Carolina Utilities Commission Public Staff, which represents utility customer interests in cases before the Utilities Commission. In addition to his service on the Foundation Board, Ayers serves as president of the National Association of State Utility and Consumer Advocates, and he also volunteers on various national committees and advisory boards representing utility consumer interests. And like our awardees today, Chris believes in the power of helping others and knows that those who work in state government, they all make an impact on the lives of North Carolinians each and every day. So let's go ahead and put our hands together as we welcome Chris Ayers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you. I'm delighted to be here today with you on behalf of the State Employees Credit Union Foundation Board of Directors. It is a privilege to join in celebrating this year's Governor's Awards for Excellence and to recognize the incredible folks who are being honored for their extraordinary service and accomplishments in our state. SECU Foundation was founded in 2004 to help address community needs that are beyond the normal scope of the State Employees Credit Union. And thanks to SECU members who contribute $1 a month from their checking accounts, the foundation has committed over $328 million to housing, healthcare, human services, and education initiatives across all 100 North Carolina counties over the last 20 years. It has been an honor to support these awards over the years. State employees play a vital role in North Carolina and making North Carolina a great place to live and work. They exemplify the credit union's philosophy of people helping people through their service, compassion, and commitment to helping the fellow North Carolinians. We're immensely grateful for their role as public service and appreciate their dedication and continued efforts to make positive difference in the lives of people across our great state. I would also like to thank those who submitted nominations for today's awards recipients. Thank you for helping shine a light on such exceptional service in our state. And I want to thank the honorees' families, friends, and coworkers who have supported them through their journeys. On behalf of SECU Foundation and the credit union's 2.9 million members who make our work possible, congratulations to all of today's honorees. We're proud of what you do and are happy to celebrate with you today.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Ayers, for your contribution. And just so you all know, the 9 Governor's Awards for Excellence that we celebrate today, they all recognize the admirable dedication of 22 exemplary state employees in the following categories. You have customer service, efficiency and innovation, human relations, outstanding state government service, public service, and safety and heroism. Their selfless actions, their innovative creations, and passion for proactively pushing beyond the status quo have improved the lives of countless North Carolinians. The impact of their efforts will benefit our great state for many, many years to come. So a little bit later on this morning, you will learn more about their impressive talent in the group by watching special videos that we'll have up here for you, or those influenced by their efforts, including agency leadership and people affected by their contributions, will speak to the impact that these individuals have made. So at this time, I would like to extend a very warm, special, long-serving welcome to Stacey Meyer. She has served the state of North Carolina since 1991. I know some of you in here weren't even born in 1991. Well, that's where she began her career as a law clerk in North Carolina's law system. Now, she went on to serve the state with her legal and leadership expertise with the North Carolina Attorney General's Office, the North Carolina Industrial Commission, and the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And in January of this year, Governor Josh Stein appointed Meyer as the State Human Resources Director. And in her new role, Director Meyer leads the North Carolina Office of State Human Resources, whose vision is to elevate public service. Each day, this agency partners with and provides expertise to state agencies and programs to recruit, support, and retain a public service workforce. Please join me this morning in welcoming State Human Resources Director Stacey Meyer.
Good morning, everyone. Each time I attend this ceremony, it is in awe. Thank you, Dwan, for the warm welcome and for serving as our Master of Ceremonies today. And thank you to the State Employees Credit Union Foundation for sponsoring this event. The Governor's Awards for Excellence are among the highest honors in our state government. This award recognizes state employees who go above and beyond to serve our state. Our vision at OSHR is to elevate public service. And when I look around this room, I see people who define what it means to serve. To this year's group of awardees, I have a message. The 22 of you reflect the very best of what it means to be a state employee in North Carolina. Dedication, bravery, innovative thinking, these are just a few of the characteristics that you demonstrate each day serving the people of our state. From life-saving efforts and aid during Hurricane Helene, to ensuring that public education remains accessible, and creating groundbreaking technologies, you have exceeded what it means to be service-minded. As a fellow state employee, I'm honored to work alongside you. Thank you for your dedication to elevating public service. Like you, I'm proud to be a state employee, a North Carolinian. I'm proud to support our governor's mission of creating meaningful opportunity for every North Carolinian to succeed. Now I'd like to share a bit about our next speaker. Seth Dearman serves as Governor Stein's Chief of Staff and previously served as Chief of Staff at the North Carolina Department of Justice. I've had the honor and privilege of working with Seth and for Seth for many years. I get to work with him on a daily basis now, and he is doing amazing things to support our governor. He is a Stokes County native. He's worked closely with Governor Stein, as I said, for more than a decade. He's a graduate of UNC Chapel Hill, where he was student body president there. He lives in Raleigh with his wife, Jess, and their young son, Henry. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Seth Dearman.
Thank you, Stacey, Director Meyer. It is a privilege to work with you and other members of the cabinet and the public servants that are on this stage and in the audience today. Appreciate you all giving me a chance to say a few words this morning. And also just want to welcome everybody to the Governor's Award for Excellence. We need to do more of this kind of thing to lift up the great work that state employees are doing across the state, and it's an honor to be here doing a piece of that this morning. As Director Meyer said, these awards represent the highest honor a state employee can receive for dedicated service to our state, and we certainly could all use a little good news these days. It's been a heavy few days here in the state with what we've been seeing in Charlotte and Raleigh and other communities across the state. I know that's something that everyone's been talking about and dealing with in one capacity or another. And as I was reflecting this morning about what I would say at the Governor's Awards for Excellence this morning, I received a message from a colleague who was expressing her thoughts about what we've been seeing here the last few days. And it struck me as something that was appropriate to share this morning. She said, imagine that there are people who love this country so much that they're willing to hide for days, live in fear, and eat very little Imagine some people love this country so much that they're willing to risk their lives for the opportunity to just exist in this country. She said, imagine how much goodness can come from a person who loves this country so much. And I thought her words were a perfect corollary to what we're here celebrating today. Imagine someone who cares deeply about serving others. Imagine someone who feels called to public service. Imagine someone who takes risks and makes sacrifices in their own lives to serve the people of North Carolina. These are the kind of folks who we're celebrating here today, and I'm very proud to work alongside you. As Director Meyer mentioned, state employees are the backbone of our state. This group today exemplifies what it means to be a state employee and to serve North Carolinians, to put yourself, to put others, above yourself. I had the opportunity to read each of the stories ahead of time of our honorees, and I can tell you that I was moved by your selfless actions. Your commitment to making North Carolina a better place for everybody, folks rolling up their sleeves and doing the hard work every day, folks like Director Meyer and Governor Stein and all of you here today, and it makes me really proud to be a state employee. I've been reading a book recently by an author named Michael Lewis, and he has written a latest book called Who is Government? As I've been reading it, it just reminds me again that we have so much room for improvement to lift up and recognize the state employees who are doing incredible work every day. This book features a handful of federal public servants who are doing things from running our nuclear facilities to making sure that coal mines don't cave in on workers, and any number of other things. And it's just a reminder that we're here highlighting some incredible people, but it just scratches the surface of the work that goes on across our state every day by public servants. So with that, I am extremely happy just to be here today. It's an honor to be working alongside you every day. And I promise that we will think very hard and work even harder to make sure that we are having more opportunities like this to lift up the great work that you all are doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Seth and Director Meyer, for your comments this morning. And now we get to why we all came this morning, right? The tremendous privilege of introducing this year's Governor's Award for Excellence recipients. Now, first up in the customer service category is Jamie Pendergrass, Associate Director of Scholarships and Financial Aid at North Carolina State University. Now, when your customers are students who make their life decisions, and their life-changing decisions, I should even add, on the financial aid awards that the school offers, it's integral that your work be done accurately and timely. Now, even in the face of the unprecedented changes to the financial federal aid process that brought massive disruptions to not only just systems, regulations, but also the students' timelines for receiving aid at institutions across the country, Pendergrass did just that. Let's find out how Jamie delivered exemplary service to support numerous students. Take a look.
What I put forward in my work here at NC State is I always put students first. I value very much the ability to be able to serve this institution that gave me so much by being a first-generation college student.
He fell within my alphabet range for students when I was a financial aid counselor. And then he was hired in our office and we ended up working really close together.
To me, Rosanna is like a big sister, even though she's like way smaller than I am.
Jamie's pretty much like a brother to me.
You're not alone in this business. No one runs a financial aid office by themselves. The FAFSA Simplification Act fundamentally changed the application process and the determination of financial aid for all institutions in the country. It changed the process completely.
Significant change, not just to how we deliver aid, but how students qualify, how they apply. So Jamie's role was really the one to say, okay, here's the legislation. Do we understand? Do we understand what needs to happen?
So there was literally dozens and dozens of new tables hundreds of new fields that we now needed to implement and incorporate into our processing here at NC State. And we're able to still process the financial aid for incoming freshmen by the time that they needed to make their enrollment decision. There's all these financial decisions that students need to make, and so it's very important that they receive that financial aid offer on time.
Jamie did all that while he worked his full-time job, and then this was a full-time effort. Everybody worked hard, but I feel like it was his leadership that really made it successful. Beyond his commitment to NC State, he has demonstrated an incredible commitment to financial aid itself.
He works hard, he's dedicated, and he always thinks about the student.
One of the people that influenced me as a student was former Vice Chancellor Dr. Tom Stafford. His motto for the Division of Student Affairs at the time was students first. It really is a validation that I chose the right career path.
Welcome to the stage, North Carolina State University Chancellor Kevin Howell to present Jamie Pendergrass with his award. All right, thank you for your service, Jamie. All right, next we move to the Efficiency and Innovation category. Members of the Department of Public Safety's North Carolina National Guard. We have Chief Warrant Officer 2, Robert Serrato, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Ian McIntosh, and Warrant Officer 1, Emilio Trevino. They all worked together to save countless lives during the emergency response to Hurricane Helene. And what's more, the brilliant innovation they created has revolutionized the way North Carolina and the entire country, if we're being honest, respond to emergencies. Let's watch more about their groundbreaking work.
In western North Carolina, we are seeing catastrophic flooding. That includes Asheville, North Carolina.
Just over the mountains, much of Asheville, North Carolina is underwater this afternoon.
I-40 shut down in both directions between Tennessee and North Carolina.
The French Broad River is reaching record levels near the Biltmore Estate.
The Buncombe County Sheriff says its office received more than 1,000 missing persons reports. Thousands of people are still without power and water. Areas of the city are completely underwater.
The response to Helene has been vast, from emergency officials to volunteers, and also men and women in uniform jumping into action. Tonight, National Guardsmen are on the ground in counties across the Carolinas helping with storm recovery.
I will tell you that the North Carolina National Guard and other emergency responders were in Asheville before this storm.
Wow.
We went to work as soon as it was safe. And like I said, we're working hand in hand with those first responders. And I will say the communication issues are real.
Yep.
And you can only, figure out what is needed once you're on the ground.
During Hurricane Helene, there were a multitude of organizations that were responding to the crisis. And one of the major issues that we stumbled across was a lack of a clear picture into what was occurring and what was on the ground in western North Carolina.
I'm Chief Serrato. I'm a geospatial technician. And during Hurricane Helene, I worked with Warrant Officer Trevino and Chief McIntosh. We used our skill set to create a web app that pulled data from multiple agencies, such as State DOT, Forestry Department, and Emergency Management. We call this a common operating picture, which allows leaders to make decisions faster. This application also allowed our soldiers to send photographic evidence of conditions on the ground in real time.
Chief Warrant Officer 2 Trevino, Chief Warrant Officer 2 McIntosh, and Warrant Officer 1 Serrato created a unified common operating picture that enabled a single pane of glass to look at the crisis from all these different organizations so that we can filter through all the noise and see exactly what the issue was on the ground based off what was being reported from the soldiers and organizations on the ground. So this is the first time that we've ever had a technological solution that encompasses that many various agencies' products, from the Army Corps of Engineers, Emergency Management, Department of Transportation. Pretty much every single agency that had a common operating picture during Hurricane Helene was encompassed into this dashboard. It allowed us to go and identify and action isolated communities with supplies, aerial resupplies, search and rescue, to actually closing down things once we started to recover and clear debris from roads based off of Department of Transportation road issues and their reporting systems. I nor my peers in the 12 years that I've been part of the North Carolina National Guard have ever seen a product or application that has been created until these three geospatial engineering technicians created it for this crisis. And I think moving forward, it'll be a huge asset and will be used in every state active duty response.
I can speak for Warrant Officer Trevino and Chief McIntosh to say that we are absolutely honored to receive this award. And we're extremely grateful that we're able to use our skill sets to serve the people of North Carolina.
Well, presenting their award this morning is Department of Public Safety Secretary Eddie Buffalo. Let's go ahead and welcome Robert Serrato, Ian McIntosh, and Emilio Trevino to the stage. And thank you again, gentlemen, for your tireless service. Well, also in the efficiency and innovation category, we have Jamie Holloway Dawkins, a transfer program coordinator for the University of North Carolina System Office. Jamie is passionate about making higher education more accessible to all of the North Carolinians who call this state home. When she shared her vision for making the transfer process from our state's community colleges to its universities much easier, Dawkins' supervisor encouraged her to run with it. Let's hear more about that vision.
I started my work with transfer students at a community college as a transfer advisor. Any North Carolina community college student at one of the 58 community colleges can say, I want to go to this university, I want to pursue this major. A lot of the challenges they face are just navigating hard processes that aren't built to be hard, they just are. Not knowing what courses to take prior to transferring that are meaningful towards their degree when they get to a university. Not knowing about admissions requirements or when to apply or how to apply or who is a contact for them at their university they want to go to.
And one of the things I found out very quickly in working with the transfer guides is that sometimes the faculty just had no knowledge of what it really was like at the community college for these students, and no real knowledge of prerequisites and co-requisites and what students were actually taking. So the transfer guide project, besides just standardizing the template and the look of the guides, also allowed for a singular place where they could be located.
That ability to compare all of the great options that we have here in the UNC system a lot easier.
Regardless of where a student's transferring to, they're all one template, which makes just the resource less intimidating for a student to use, less intimidating for an advisor to use. It streamlines that process for them. So it gives them that roadmap they can follow.
And it helps students better see all of the options and pathways that they have available to them.
Having that experience working at a community college, working at a university, she knows what it's like in that room and across that desk. And she knows how to impact the students, how to impact the advisors, what information the faculty or the other professionals might need. But then she also has these incredible skills to be able to bring all of these pieces together. And that to me is why she was successful.
Jamie works really, really hard to keep an optimistic and a positive attitude about what we can do to better transfer in North Carolina.
This award just speaks to Jamie's passion involving transfer students. She wants to see a student succeed.
Receiving this award means that transfer students' voices are being heard. So that's the most important thing.
Well, presenting the award this morning is the UNC System's Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. David English. And Jamie, I see you've already made your way up to the stage. Thank you again, Jamie. Well, next we move to the category of human relations. During Hurricane Helene and in the days that followed, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources Maintenance Construction Technician Christopher Norrington worked tirelessly to preserve state resources and offer help and support to neighbors in need. His actions demonstrated not just the best of North Carolina state employees, but the best of humanity. Let's learn more about how Norrington exemplifies what it means to be a public servant.
It was very daunting for me and very eerie. Friday morning as the eye of the storm hit us, and listening to the radio traffic come in of people who were experiencing issues of where they're having to abandon their homes because of flooding. To listen to the local fire chief say that we are starting to lose structures in the town of Chimney Rock. But once the winds did die down and I walked out the front door with my family, we realized that we were pretty well trapped in here. But it was a long endeavor just to cut our way down to the village, and once we got down there, probably the biggest devastating blow is we realized that we had lost our bridge. And we got to the village and realized that the main bridge that connects Lake Flora and Chimney Rock, the Memorial Highway Bridge, was piled with 20 or 30 feet of debris on top of it. And then looking back towards the village to see the water still prevalent in the area, and to start to realize that structures were truly gone. But one of the first people I ran into down there was the local fire chief. And I immediately walked up to him and said, "Hey brother, what do you need?" And we just kind of gave each other a hug, and I knew that meant it's time to go.
Well, Chris has got he's a very unique person, that he always seems to be in the right place at the right time when someone needs help, and this was no exception. So as soon as we knew that there was devastation in the village, I knew he was gonna go do it, and he was gonna help in any way that he could, and I will always support that. He worked just around the clock trying to get people out and get them what they needed through that time. I was very proud of him.
Chris was a knight in shining armor, I ain't gonna lie to you. We was up here, I was trying to cut our way to Lake Lure, but Chris had cut all around Boys Camp, checked on multiple people, then come up to us to see what he could do because he knew we was here. And he come in and knew I was dead tired, said, "Chief, you need to get some rest." And I was like, "Man, I can't, I've got to keep going." He's like, "I'm here for you." And something about his calm demeanor, his calm voice, and something about that I knew I could just say, "You've got this." I was able to let down for just a few hours, and he was non-stop.
The Hickory Nut Gorge was very devastated. We had a lot of damage. It took days before I could even communicate with my staff. And then once we were able to communicate and come together as a group, that's when I found out what Chris had done for the community. In my eyes, he's a local hero.
We got everybody back to the park, back to our park office for the first time to see each other. Chris was still rescuing people. I called him on the radio. I said, "You need to come up here." He came up. He'd run probably 5+ days straight. 12-hour shifts, no breaks, no nothing. This was the first time I'd seen him. and all I could do is hug him. And we hugged the hardest hug and cried in each other's arms because we made it. The river, the gorge, the hurricane had separated us. At that moment, all our staff had finally got together. And it wasn't one person that did that. It was all of them. It was the entire community. It was the state of North Carolina.
Well, presenting the award is Department of Natural and Cultural Resources Secretary Pamela Cashwell. Christopher Norrington, please join us on stage. Thank you again, Chris. Now, in the Outstanding State Government Service category, we recognize Holly Jordan, a County Extension Director for North Carolina State University. Jordan took her role of supporting farmers and agribusiness owners in the Buncombe County area far beyond simply just connecting agriculturists to NC State scientists, scholars, and their findings. Now, let's learn more about how Holly's leadership in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene helped preserve her neighbors' livelihoods and North Carolina's agriculture industry.
Some people, if you ask them what happened, they can tell you by hour exactly what happened from the storm. And I think for a lot of us here in the office, it's a blur. We have a really close team in Buncombe County as far as extension goes. Our role is to tell people. And I think that everyone here in our office, it's in our heart to help people.
We take practices learned at the university, research implemented there, and kind of facilitate and communicate that research effectively to put it into the hands of farmers, growers, and homeowners.
When we think about everything we did during that time period, what was in front of us was the community that we were serving.
We had gotten a lot of rain actually before Helene actually hit.
Basically a volume of water that we had never seen in the area before. I mean, historic levels of flooding.
The county did shut down, so they did not want employees in offices in, but what they did do was kind of reassign people out into the community where they were needed.
One of the great things about Extension is that we're a network. And so as soon as things started happening here, we had people from all over the country that were coming and sending donations. So we were more of that connection between the supplies, particularly for ag community, and those who needed it.
Getting that guidance out, Holly played a critical role at the beginning, making sure that that information flow was maintained from the very get-go.
We had this funny saying, we GSD'd, we got stuff done. Still today, we said we need to get t-shirts that say, in Buncombe County, we GSD.
There's still a need. There's still many displaced. There's still a lot of things in disrepair.
It's a constant reliving of Helene because there's still aid available and people are still applying for it and coming to us for that help.
There's just been some opportunities that have presented themselves after Helene where our programming is meeting a need and addressing people's concerns that had no idea who Cooperative Extension was before the storm. And those are a direct result of Holly's efforts.
Holly is giving. A lot of what drives her is giving to others.
This was a team effort, and there's a lot of people out there in state government work that did a lot for Helene recovery. My name just happens to be on that nomination form.
Presenting the award again is North Carolina State University Chancellor Kevin Howell. Holly, please join us on stage. All right, well, thank you again, Holly. We're gonna have to take that GSD. Give us permission to use that. Got stuff done. Thanks, Holly. Well, now we move to the public service category where we honor Dr. Nicole Jones, a senior psychologist for the State Bureau of Investigation. Jones's passion for her work and dedication to advancing the field of behavioral analysis led to groundbreaking support for law enforcement officers. Let's learn more about Dr. Jones' tremendous step forward in public safety.
In 2018, I was asked if I wanted to join a multidisciplinary team within a law enforcement agency to begin a new unit called the Behavioral Threat Assessment Unit. And the mission of the unit was violence prevention in the communities across North Carolina.
I've worked with Dr. Jones since 2018, and Dr. Jones started Beta. I've learned a great deal from Dr. Jones. She has shown me a different perspective on how to look at problems, how to look at solutions, how to think through how we address these issues.
I've been working with Dr. Jones for a couple years as psychologists on the Beta unit. So we work together for consulting on cases when there are concerns about targeted violence. We also work together to develop trainings and conduct research on the measure that she spearheaded developing, the NC Bio 25.
When we started our unit in 2018, it quickly became apparent that the emerging standard of care in the practice of behavioral threat assessment was to use a structured professional judgment tool that helped inform each step of the threat assessment process, from identifying who might be a person of concern to structuring the investigations regarding the person of concern, as well as conceptualizing their targeted violence risk, and most importantly, delivering a product back to our local partner about what to do about it so that their communities could remain safe.
She created the NC Bio 25, and one of the things that I've always respected and I've always admired about Dr. Jones is that when she brought this tool, she could have said, hey, this is for our use only, but she decided she would create this tool and have it validated so that law enforcement agencies can use it free of cost. Not only has she done that, but she has led and undertaken the training that it takes to train all of these agencies to be able to use this tool, again, completely free of charge.
I think this tool is really essential to our process. It was developed to fit in with the process that we use to identify, assess, and manage persons of concern, and it's been embedded throughout our process.
I'm proud to support law enforcement, and I'm proud to support the mission of Beta, and I hope that other agencies and people who use the tool find value in the mission of the work. Anytime we can stop a school shooting or prevent one of these devastating and needless attacks out in our communities, I think it's not just a win for me personally, but it's a win for the SBI and it's a win for all North Carolinians.
And presenting Dr. Jones Award this morning is State Bureau of Investigation Chief of Staff Brent Culbertson. Well, thank you again, Nicole. We also recognize Dr. Christy Poteet in the public service category. Christy has amplified the impact she makes on the University of North Carolina Pembroke's campus as its Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs by working tirelessly in her community to serve those in need. Let's learn more about the driving force in her life, as well as her passion for serving others.
Dr. Christy Poteet is a mission-driven, student-focused caregiver.
Education was a strong value in my family. My mom reminded me all the time that the way out of poverty for us was for me to get an education. And the way that I was able to do that is through the service, through service from others.
She is very driven. She has a very interesting background and family story that makes her want to make sure that others are taken care of.
If I think about where I started, when I was a little girl, my mom, even though we didn't have much, she still found ways to give. You know, and the fact that she instilled that in me at such a young age and exposed me to opportunities to think about people first. Never money first, never business first. You go where the need is and you find a need, you meet a need. It really is that simple. You can do something. And maybe it's being a part of the Thanksgiving dinner. But initially I got involved through Sacred Pathway and I thought, what could I do? How can I continue this? So I called our local fire department because community is all about building relationships. And I said, hey, can I host a Thanksgiving dinner? And then I started calling friends. Hey, can you donate? Can you cook a turkey? What can we do to pull everybody together? The message that we sent that day was, on Thanksgiving Day, let's join in this meal together. Let's have a good time. Let's celebrate. Let's fellowship. You remind people that you're there for them, that you're there to support them, to help them connect in whatever way they need to. And if we can be that for people, it could really move mountains for them. So if you want to be a part of UNCP, if you want to be a part of Pembroke, if you want to be a part of Robeson County, and you want it to be special, it can be that for you. You just have to take the initiative and build those connections, and a great way to do that is through service.
That service learning component at UNCP has really grown and flourished because of Dr. Poteet. Over the course of her career, she has been that person out in the community serving others, modeling that for her students, developing them into people who do that for others. And it's a big part of who we are.
So it's cyclical for me. It started as, I took this job because I wanted to find a way to give back in the way that people had given back to me, because it changed my life. And now it's just the most meaningful work. It's just like my whole life has been leading up to being in a space of creating pathways for other people to have the same experiences I did in changing the trajectories of their life and the lives of their families and the lives of their communities. And so again, if that's what I'm known for, wow, that I can mobilize people in a way that inspires them to serve. I'm so honored to be thought of in that way. That's the type of legacy I want to leave.
And presenting Christie's Award this morning is University of North Carolina Pembroke's Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Dr. Jeff Howard. Thank you again, Christy, for all the work that you do. Well, now we move on to our final category this morning. The category is Safety and Heroism, where we recognize a group of 6 brave individuals from the Department of Transportation and the State Highway Patrol. Without the courage of Scotty Coggins, David Hall, Garrett McFalls, Austin Phillips, Christopher Strader, and Sergeant Joe Henderson, many motorists would have been stranded or worse during Hurricane Helene, and it's glad that they had that help available. Let's learn more.
We were in the roadside unit that morning, and our guys had been working overnight to handle the storm. We got news that probably the power was out at this facility, our I-40 rest area facility, so we came down to try to help out.
And a gentleman came up to us and made the statement. He said, the right lane of I-40 has fallen off.
We started to get calls
about sections of the interstate that were starting to wash out.
There was a need, and at the end of the day, we're public servants, and so we acted in that manner. We went to where the need was.
We start down that way thinking, maybe a pothole, maybe a rock slide. We don't really know what we're going into, and come out of the tunnel and see people standing outside their cars and on the wall screaming for help, waving their arms.
There was just so much devastation in one spot at one time that it almost take your breath away.
We was telling people, there were some people that were out of their cars, we was telling them to get back in their cars so that they could mobilize and get started back the other way.
The longer we stayed, the ground was leaving. I actually watched the ground fall out from underneath the guardrails and the guardrail dangling there and the pavement cracking, and we knew we had to get the people off of off the highway.
Of course, the vegetation along the side of the road, there was good-sized trees, and they would start popping and cracking, moving a little bit, and within 30 seconds they were gone. They were floating down the river. Concrete barriers gone as well.
Thankfully, the IMAP folks showed up on the scene and knew how to operate the traffic gate there in the median wall, and were able to get that open. But we had to direct everybody backwards and back them out one at a time.
Trooper Henderson, Garrett, and myself were pretty much hand in hand, moving vehicles and stopping vehicles when we're back in tractor trailers.
We were fortunate that we were able to get everybody out and save the lives, and at the same time, the property to go along with it being their trucks and vehicles.
When you see the road leaving and the trees leaving and Jersey barriers leaving like they were, yeah, there's some fear. But just to know that all those people walked away unhurt and unharmed, that was a big relief.
There are a lot of people that throughout this storm that made a lot of sacrifices that thought very quickly, and honestly, I was just there in the right place at the right time and did what anybody would have done.
We're honored to have it, but I think any of our fellow employees would have done the same.
I was humbled, and it gave some feelings of regret, just knowing that the many other folks in Western North Carolina had done everything that they could do to help in the different areas.
Just what we do, it's a calling, it's what we're called for. We come out here to help people.
But I don't feel that I deserve it any more than any other person out there that day working.
These employees did exactly what we expected of them, and they went above and beyond to serve in the line of duty, to protect the public, to act as heroes. They saved the day, and we're so proud of them, and we can't thank them enough.
And presenting their awards this morning are Department of Transportation's Western Deputy Chief Engineer Brett Knipp and State Highway Patrol Commander Colonel Freddie Johnson, Jr.
Yeah, what we gonna do?
Well, thank you all for the work that you do as well. Well, our final Safety and Heroism Award goes to the staff of the Wildlife Resources Commission's Armstrong State Fish Hatchery. Doug Arfman, Luke Clark, Spike Gouge, Chuck Melton, Jake Setterland, Elijah Winters, and Kaylee Winters, they all fought valiantly against the wrath of Hurricane Helene to preserve a state facility. And while these 7 state employees could not save the hatchery or its fish, they did, however, save the life of a fellow North Carolinian. Let's take a look.
When you do something heroic, most people don't want to be recognized for it because they just done their duty.
You prepare for storms your whole career.
Nothing could have prepared us for that.
Helene was just a different animal.
You got the first set of raceways, and you come up a mile, then you're here at the office, then you go up another mile, and that's where we 3 were. So, 2 miles separated us from the people down there.
We heard the log jam break below us on Roses Creek.
Sounding like the cannon went off.
And it did. That sound will probably stay in my memory for the rest of my life. That's when I really realized, it's like, okay, this got very real.
Like I told them, if we can make a good decision every minute, we'll get out of here.
I looked up the creek. It's very steep between the 2 mountains, and there was a wall of logs, probably about 25 to 30 feet high. Within 5 seconds, I was hit by that wall of logs. My house exploded. I stayed on upright like I was on a surfboard on top of them logs in water, and it took me across the road, down through the woods, and I landed in a poplar tree. At that point, I knew I had to be calm and just be careful and try to get to the people at the fish hatchery.
Doug heard Mike. We were able to get to him, get him out of the water, and just get Mike, to safety. Ultimately, at that point, it was, we got to make contact with the outside world and get him out of here.
We get all this credit for saving Mike's life, but he saved ours too, because had he not been injured and needed immediate medical attention, I don't know when we would have gotten out.
It makes you feel good to know that somebody's watching out for you, that you can count on them to give you 100%. Couldn't be more proud of them.
We all wear the same diamond on our chest. We're all just one big family.
We're fighters, not just us, but all of our hatchery personnel across the world. This is what we do.
Amazing, graceful, compassionate, caring, and they're going to get the job done.
Well, presenting the award is Wildlife Resources Commission Executive Director Al Briggs. Let's go ahead and welcome the group up to the stage. And again, thank you all. Now, please join me one more time in congratulating all of today's honorees, their exemplary state service, and those of their coworkers, their friends, and their neighbors. They know that they can rely on us each and every day. So each of today's award winners' passion for public service is truly inspiring. Again, let's go ahead and give them a round of applause. Well, again, I want to thank each of you for coming to this year's awards. I'd also like to thank the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources for generously allowing us to use this space for today's ceremony, as well as OSHR and all agency volunteers who make this great event possible each and every year. On that note, that is the end of today's award ceremony. Again, thank you all for coming, and if you would, join us just across the street for a reception at the Executive Mansion. Thanks again, and thank you.